They thought they could scare me with fake authority. Two men in cheap tactical vests stitched with the words HOA cop, led by a self-appointed president, walking up my driveway like they owned it. What they didn't realize was that I wasn't just another homeowner. I was the last person they should have tried to arrest. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. It started like any other Saturday morning in Greenville, South Carolina. The air was calm, neighbors out mowing lawns, kids on bikes, nothing unusual. I stepped out of my brick home, trash bag in hand, not thinking of anything except chores. But as soon as I reached the driveway, I saw them. Two men in black vests stood side by side. Their boots were scuffed, straps dangling, faces tight with forced seriousness. Between them stood Sandra Bell, the so-called HOA president. She wasn't just holding herself like she had authority. She looked smug, like she'd been waiting for this moment. "Mr. Carter," Sandra snapped, her tone sharp, "we need to talk." I set the trash down slowly and rested my hands on my hips. "About what?" I asked calmly. One of the men stepped forward. Tall, pale, shaved head, mirrored sunglasses hiding his eyes. His vest had HOA cop patched across it. "You're in violation of neighborhood regulations," he said flatly. "We're here to detain you until the police arrive." The word detain hung in the air like poison. Sandra folded her arms tightly. "You've ignored repeated notices. This has gone too far. These men are here to make sure you comply." I studied them carefully. The act was obvious. Their gear wasn't real tactical. Their stance was off, more like guys trying to look tough than trained officers. And their eyes, too eager, too rehearsed. "What exactly are the charges?" I asked, voice low but edged. The second man, shorter and broad-shouldered with a scruffy beard, pulled a crumpled paper from his vest. "Property violations, non-compliance, unauthorized modifications, loud gatherings. The list goes on," he said. I almost laughed. "So you think that gives you the right to come onto my property and what was it, detain me?" The tall one's jaw clenched. "That's right. You can come peacefully or we'll make it harder." Neighbors' curtains shifted. Phones lifted. Everyone was watching. I let the silence hang, then said coldly, "There's no such thing as an HOA cop. You're not police. You're trespassing, and right now, you're about to regret stepping onto my driveway." Sandra's cheeks flushed red, but she doubled down. "You either follow our rules or we'll enforce them. That's how this neighborhood works." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "You picked the wrong man today." The tall man stepped closer, boots scraping across my concrete. His voice was rigid, almost trembling with false authority. "Sir, don't make this difficult. You're being non-compliant. That means we have the right to escalate." I tilted my head slightly, a calm smirk tugging at the corner of my mouth. "Escalate? You're standing on my property with no badge, no training, and no authority. You've got 30 seconds to back off before this turns into something you can't walk away from." Sandra snapped back, her words tight with anger. "You think threats make this better? You've ignored letters, fines, warnings. The HOA exists to keep this community safe. People like you." She cut herself off mid-sentence, lips pressed tight like she'd almost revealed more than she wanted to. I caught it instantly. My eyes narrowed. "People like me? Be careful how you finish that thought, Sandra." The shorter man shifted nervously, glancing at his partner. "Look, this doesn't need to get ugly. Just come with us. We'll wait for the officers. Clear it up." "Officers?" I asked flatly. Funny choice of words. The only so-called officers I see are you two clowns playing dress-up in fake vests. That hit home. The tall one stiffened. His partner's eyes darted nervously toward Sandra. But she doubled down, desperate to hold control. "These men are authorized by the HOA board. We don't have to answer to you." I chuckled, low and sharp. "Authorized by a board that doesn't exist on record. You're impersonating authority, and that's a crime." The crowd on the block grew thicker. Phones raised, cameras flashed, and then came the exact moment Sandra lost control of her little stage play. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe because the story is only going to get better. I let my voice carry, calm but deliberate. Authority isn't stitched onto a vest. It's earned. It's law. It's accountability. And trust me, real cops are going to love this circus act you just pulled. The tall man clenched his jaw, his pride outweighing reason. He reached into his vest and yanked out a pair of cheap metal cuffs. The clink of steel echoed across the street. "You're under neighborhood arrest." Gasps ripped through the crowd. A teenager nearby shouted, "No way! He can't do that!" Another voice from a porch cried, "This is harassment!" I didn't flinch. My tone sharpened into steel. "If you even think about putting those cuffs on me, that's felony impersonation and unlawful restraint. That's prison time." For the first time, I saw doubt flicker across their faces. But Sandra barked back, desperate and red-faced. "Do it. Show him who's in charge." That was the breaking point. The shorter man, scruffy and panicked, made a desperate lunge toward me. He clearly thought brute force would save the situation. Years of field experience had taught me how to read movements like this. I sidestepped smoothly, twisted his arm behind his back, and brought him down hard onto the driveway. The clink of the cheap metal cuffs he had brandished earlier echoed ominously as he hit the concrete, winded and defeated. Sandra's face went pale, her voice trembling. "You can't! This isn't legal!" I let my gaze sweep over the crowd of neighbors, dozens of phones raised. "Legal?" I said calmly. "Impersonating law enforcement, trespassing on private property, attempting to restrain someone, that's federal. And now it's all documented." The taller man's jaw tightened. He glared, pride battling fear, but I didn't flinch. I held the cuffs up, letting them glint in the morning sun. "You're both under arrest. Federal charges, impersonation of an officer, unlawful restraint, and trespassing. You're not walking away from this." That's when I reached into my back pocket and produced my badge. The gold emblem caught the light as I held it high for the street to see. "Special Agent Maxwell Carter, FBI," I announced, my voice carrying across the block. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sandra froze, the color draining from her cheeks. At that exact moment, the black SUV I had prearranged rolled smoothly down the street. My colleagues, two plainclothes agents, stepped out, badges in hand. They'd been called after I made a quick report to the bureau as soon as Sandra and her imposters arrived. "Stand down," one agent barked. "Hands visible now." Sandra stammered. You called them?" I nodded, calm and collected. "Yes, I knew what you were planning. That's why I alerted the real authorities." The agents moved swiftly, cuffing the two imposters properly and reading them their rights. The crowd cheered, phones capturing every moment live. I stepped forward, my gaze locking on Sandra. "You authorized illegal arrests and intimidation," I said coldly. "That carries consequences." I didn't know," she stammered, but the trembling in her voice betrayed her guilt. I pressed on. "You are being sued for civil damages, harassment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. You'll also face a federal investigation for your role in this plot. As for your little puppets here, they'll serve time for impersonation, unlawful restraint, and trespassing. Justin, taller man, has been sentenced to 6 months federal detention and probation, plus a fine. Austin, the one who lunged, received 3 months probation and mandatory community service." The crowd whispered in shock. Phones streamed every word. I lowered my badge, letting it sink in. "Next time you think about playing cop, remember, authority isn't sewn on a vest. It's earned and it's enforced by real law. Anything less ends like this." Sandra's mouth opened, then closed. The imposters were led away under the watchful eyes of the FBI. She had no choice but to accept the civil lawsuit notice I handed her through my agent. Justice had arrived, public, undeniable, and permanent. I finally stepped back, adjusting my stance. The street was silent except for the murmur of neighbors still processing the spectacle. Today, a self-appointed tyrant and her wannabe enforcers learned exactly what real authority looks like and the consequences for abusing it.